Yeah, very good morning. So friends, today we'll be discussing on IRR and valuation of leasehold properties. Like most of the valuers, they are doing valuation for the banking purpose. And normally we are using the market approach and cost approach to valuation. Here I will be discussing a bit about income approach, right? And IRR, where we can use the IRR and how to do the valuation for leasehold properties. So we'll start the session. So as everyone knows that you might have learned in our 50 hours training program that we can divide our properties into three categories based on marketability of the properties. We can have income fetching marketable properties, non-income fetching marketable properties, and non-income fetching non-marketable properties in the market. And for that, we have three approaches, that is market approach, income approach, and cost approach. So here we will be referring to income approach to valuation. Now, in income approach to valuation, basically there are three methods of valuation. One is the rent capitalization or the yield method. In this rent capitalization, what we do? We capitalize whatever the rental value we get, the net rent, and we arrive at the value of the properties. So we are using the net rent to capitalize and get the value. Then we will be seeing discounted cash flow technique or net present value method. That is what I'll be taking IRR. I'll be taking from this DCF technique. And then we have profit method of valuation. So here we are going to discuss first about IRR. That is the internal rate of return, discounted cash flow technique. So everybody might be knowing about discounted cash flow technique. When you are done this 50 hours training program, you might have gone through the discounted cash flow technique. So what is this discounted cash flow technique? And how do we use it?
We recorder on screen recorder on
Shresh.
12 बजे सर भाई का
Okay. Even what is that discounted cash flow technique? And where do we use it? Basically, discounted cash flow technique, it's a tool which will help you take investment decisions. It's a tool which will help you take any investment decisions. So in this discounted cash flow technique, what you do, whatever is your cash flow, whether it is your outgoing or whether it is your incoming, right? You will bring all the cash flow to present value. Using the present value factor formula of PV is equal to 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. Using that formula, you will bring the entire cash flow to the present value, and then you will find out the NPV, net present value. And with that NPV, you can decide whether you should go ahead with the investment or not. And in that discounted cash flow technique, when you had done that 50 hours training program, you might have learned about IRR. That is the internal rate of return. So this IRR, it is the exact return from an investment. Any investor, be ever whatever field it is, whether it is a real estate field or he is doing business in any manufacturing field, any field, any investor, he is concerned with only one thing, that is IRR. What is the exact return he is getting from an investment? That is IRR. So how do we find out IRR? So for any, I will be taking one example for IRR so we can understand how we can find out IRR. I will be taking an example of an real estate project. So to find out IRR, what we do, we take all the outgoings. We'll prepare a cash flow diagram of all the outgoings and all the incomings, that when will be all the outgoings, when will be all the incoming. And then we'll try to bring all the entire cash flow to net present value and find out IRR. And with that IRR, then the investor can decide whether he should go ahead with the project or not. So I will take this IRR with a very simple example of a real estate properties. Say, let's take one very simple example. A developer, he had purchased a land in 25 crore rupees and paid a stamp duty of 1 crore rupees for the land. He now proposed to construct a building of 1,50,000 square feet over it. Now this construction, it takes 4 years to complete. The cost of construction is say 2,000 rupees per square feet. It is estimated that he will complete 20% of the construction in first year, 30% of the construction in the second year, 30% of construction in third year, and the remaining 20% of the construction, he will be taking it in the fourth year. Now, obviously, if he is putting up such a big project, he cannot sell the entire project on a single day. So the revenue which he is getting from the sale of the project, it will take 6 years. He will be getting, he can sell this project at 5,000 rupees per square feet rate, right? And the expected sale is 20% in the first year. The revenue will be getting is 20% in the first year, 20% in the second year, 20% in the third year, say 20% in the fourth year, and 10% and 10% in fifth and sixth year. So now you can see his outgoings are at different time interval, his incoming are at different time interval. Now we want to find out what is the IRR, the exact rate of return that the builder will be getting from this project. So he can decide that whether he should go ahead with this project or not. Because suppose if the builder is getting only 7 or 8% from the project, so obviously he will think that better I'll invest in FD. Why to do such a big project by taking a risk, right? So he will first find out what is the IRR. So to find out IRR, what we do, we first prepare a cash flow diagram. That when will be all the outgoings, when will be all the incomings. So here I will be preparing a cash flow diagram. Say the land cost is 25 crores, plus he has paid 1 crore rupees for the registration and all. So total he has 26 crores for the land. Building, it is 1,50,000 square feet. The cost of construction is 2,000 per square feet, right? So it is 3 crore, 3 crore rupees, right? 30 crore rupees. So total cost of the project will be 56 crore. But he is not going to spend the 56 crore rupees today. It's at different time interval. So we will write down the outgoings at different time interval. Okay, say land he has to give entire amount today. Right? So land cost 26 crore rupees he has to give today itself. Construction first year he is doing only 20% of the construction. So 20% of 30 crores, it is 6 crore. Second year he is doing 30% construction, so it is 9 crore. Third year, again 30% construction, it is another 9 crore. Fourth year, the remaining 20%, that is 6 crore. So total it will be 56 crore outgoings in 4 years. Similarly, we will see what are the incoming. He can sell this project at 5,000 rupees per square feet. So total sellable value of the project is 75 crore, but he is not getting it today itself. This 75 crore is at different time interval. Say first year sale revenue is only 20% of 75 crore. So it is 15 crores. Similarly, second year 15, third year 15, fourth year 15, and last 2 years he is getting 10%, that is 7.5 crores each. So this is how he will be getting 75 crores. So at different time interval. So to find out IRR, what we will do, we will prepare that cash flow, and this entire cash flow, I will bring it to present value using the present value factor formula and find out the net present value. At whatever rate of interest, the net present value is 0, we will say that is the internal rate of return. At whatever rate of interest, the net present value is 0 is your internal rate of return. So we will prepare So we will prepare a cash flow diagram. I will show it on Microsoft Excel. So this is the cash flow that outgoings, if you see, outgoings was land cost today 2600 lakhs, then 600 lakhs, 900 lakhs, 900 lakhs, 600 lakhs. So that outflow I have put it over here. Outgoings at what time interval, that I have put it over here. The incomings at what time interval, I have put it over here. And then my net cash flow, that initially I have to invest, the builder has to invest 26 crore. Then first year he has to invest 6 crore. He is getting 15 crore. So net he is getting is 9 crore. Similarly, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and sixth year, I have prepared the entire cash flow, that what is the cash flow every year, negative or positive. Now to find out this IRR, what I have to do, I have to, this cash flow, I have to bring it to present value. I have to bring this cash flow to present value using the present value factor formula, using the PV formula of 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. So here I have used that formula over here in this discounted factor 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. And using this present value factor formula, I will bring this cash flow to the present value. Every cash flow to the present value. And then I find out the net present value of the entire cash flow. So I will use trial and error method to find out IRR. मैं ट्रायल एंड एरर करूंगा to find out what is the exact rate of return. So here I am taking the first trial with 18%. That suppose what is the NPV with 18%. So when I did this NPV taking the R as 18%, I am getting the net present value of the entire cash flow as 28.67 lakhs. Right? 28.67 crores, sorry. So this means if you are getting this net present value positive, what does it mean? If the net present value is positive, it means that you are getting a return of more than 18%. You are getting a return of more than 18% because this is showing positive. If net present value is positive, means you are getting return of more than 18% now. I want the exact return. So what I will do, again the same cash flow. If it is more than 18%, now I am trying with 19%. So same cash flow, I am bringing it to net present value. And this time, my net present value is coming negative. That means my rate of return which I am getting is less than 19% now. So now I know it is between 18 and 19%. So to find out exact IRR, what I can do, I can use the trial and error method. 18, 19 में different rate of interest डाल के exact निकाल सकता हूँ. Or else, what I can do is that I can use an interpolation formula. I can use an interpolation formula. If I know that my IRR is between this range of 18 and 19, then I can use this interpolation formula where IRR means internal rate of return will be R1. That is the lower rate of interest which we have considered, this 18%, plus R2. R2 is the second rate of interest which I have considered, that is 19%, into NPV1. NPV1 is NPV at lower rate of interest, that is at 18%, upon NPV2. NPV2 is again the NPV at this higher rate of interest, right? So NPV1 upon NPV2 plus NPV1. Using this formula, then I can find out the exact rate of return that we are getting in this project. Now, if the builder is comfortable with this 18% rate of return, he will go ahead with the project. But if the builder feels that no, this 18% is not good enough, then he will not go ahead with the project. Yeah, Shilpa ji.
Sir, that 36.75 was minus 36.75 in the Excel,
Yeah,
right?
here it is coming negative, but when you are doing the interpolation formula, so you are taking the range कि कितना IRR से पीछे कितना है, आगे कितना है. तो range लेना होगा तो you have to consider it positive only. So here it is negative, Though here it is negative, but you will not consider the negative sign. You will consider the
Okay.
positive only, because what you have to see, that suppose,
Mathematically, we have to see.
yeah, here this is your IRR. IRR is here. So one value is here and one value is here. So what you are going to find out? You are going to find out what is the range. And that is why I am taking the positive only, not the negative part.
And
Right?
sir, in the previous slide, where you have written construction cost for outgoings,
Yeah.
does that construction cost will also account for the approval cost for the construction?
Yeah, every cost.
Everything.
Even the architect fees and every cost, each and every cost will be accounted.
Okay.
In fact, just this example which I had taken, that is a very, very basic example. So I have not considered each and everything. If you want to do it in detail, then I would have added even the bank interest cost and everything over here. Okay, what is the a bank interest cost? Because obviously the builder, each and every builder, they don't do the entire project with their own fundings. They are taking the loan also.
True.
So what is the bank interest? And each and every part we will be calculating. But I am just taking the fundamental over here. So I have not considered it in very, very detailed work.
Sure, sir.
Otherwise, you have
Sir,
to consider each and
once you are
every.
done with the session, do share the Excel with us so that we can play with it and understand how does it work in reality also.
Yeah, obviously. Fine. I will be sharing
you
the
so
Excel
much, sir.
as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is the internal rate of return. Any investor, be ever whatever business it is, any investor, they use this IRR, they use this discounted cash flow technique, and they will decide whether they should go ahead with the project or not. Okay, as a valuer, where do you use this discounted cash flow techniques, IRR and all? Like if I see over here, we have many participants today, right? So where do we use this internal cash flow technique and all? We are already 72 participants in a big number today. So anybody
Business
using
valuations.
this? Pardon?
Business valuations.
Not only business valuations, normal valuations also you can use this IRR or discounted cash flow techniques. Like when you had done this
capitalization rate.
Okay, when you had done this 50 hours training program in market approach, you might have seen that there are two methods in market approach. One is the normal sales comparison method, wherein you directly compare the sales and arrive at the value. And other one was the residual method, residual or development method. So in that residual or development method, you arrive at the land value indirectly from the sale transactions. Say if you want to do valuation of a very big size land parcel, say residential land parcel, and you don't have any sale instances of that big size residential land parcel, but you are getting sale instances of only flats in that area. You want to do valuation of a very big size land parcel, residential land parcel, and you don't get any sale instances, and you are getting sale instances of only small flats in that area. So how you will do the valuation of that big size land parcel? So there you will use the development method. What you will do, you will consider that what is the FSI available over there. Using that FSI, how many flats you can construct in that area. You will compare each flat with that sale instance flat. You can arrive at the value of, entire sellable value of the project, right? And then you can deduct all the outgoings and get the value of land. That was the residual method. So in that residual method, when we use that residual method, there also we will use this discounting. Because in residual method also, the entire project is not going to be constructed today and sold today. The outgoings will be at different interval, the incoming will be at different interval. So purely we never usually use this residual method. We combine it with discounted cash flow technique and arrive at the value of land. This IRR also, you can get many assignments for this IRR. Like I have done few assignments in last few months, wherein many builders, they are giving us assignments to find out IRR for them. Like before 3-4 months, I got one assignment from Kolkata. one builder had constructed one mall, and from that mall he had, leased out 31 shops. He had already leased out 31 shops, and that lease agreement, he had made the internal lease agreement for 50 years, and he had rent increment every 3 years. Now he wanted to sell these 31 shops to an investor. He wanted to sell this entire 31 shops to an investor in 7 crore rupees, along with the lease agreements. So the investor was confused that whether what return he is getting from these shops. If he buys these shops in 7 crore rupees, then what is the exact return he is getting? So for that, we had used this IRR technique. Using IRR technique, I told the investor that yes, you are getting 9.5% return if you purchase all these shops in 7 crore rupees. And then he was satisfied, and he had bought it in 7 crore rupees. So you can do valuation assignments IRR for such cases. So anybody having any question for IRR or the discounted cash flow technique?
Sorry, sir, this is Chetan here.
Yeah.
So we use discounted cash flow technique to arrive at a valuation number. So there, how do you use IRR? Because you are already assuming certain profit percentage that the developer is expecting, and you put that number, and then you arrive at a value. So, so how this IRR works when we are trying to value a property?
नहीं, when you are valuing for a residual land की आप बात कर रहे हैं कि suppose if I am valuing a residual land, तो हम लोग कैसे करेंगे? तो we are going to use the same IRR technique. Normally मैं ये सोचता हूँ चेतन जी के सी if I am a builder, तो मैं normally if I am expecting 15% return from a project, बराबर है? तो I will do कि मैं सभी outgoings अलग अलग टाइम इंटरवल पे assume करूंगा. I will assume all the outgoings at different time interval, assume incoming at different time interval. First of all, I will assume that say suppose if it is a 2 lakh square feet of project, it might take me, मैं normal survey करूंगा तो मुझे पता चलता है कि भाई it will take me 4 years to complete the project.
Correct.
And it might take me 6 or 7 years to sell the project. And then what I will do, I will assume an IRR. यूजिंग दैट IRR मैं लैंड का वैल्यू सिर्फ कांस्टेंट नहीं रखूंगा, बाकी का सबका वैल्यू रखूंगा, और पूरा कैश फ्लो को मैं वो IRR से लेके आऊंगा. जो रिमेनिंग वैल्यू रहेगा वो लैंड वैल्यू रहेगा.
So normally we
प्रेजेंट वैल्यू रिमेनिंग रहेगा वो लैंड वैल्यू मेरा रहेगा. तो मैं दो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट उसमें मैं एज्यूम नहीं करता हूं, मैं एक ही लेता हूं जो मुझे IRR चाहिए. दैट इज हाउ आई कंबाइन इट विद डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो टेक्निक एंड यूज इट टू फाइंड आउट माय रेसिडुअल मेथड.
Sir, I had a question. Sir, in this, see what happens is the way, some assignments are like this, that it's not always that we are working from developers. Sometimes landowners come to us, landowners who want to, give away their land for development. Many of them are interested either in a joint venture with the developer, जहाँ पे वो कुछ बना के देते हैं. I'm based in Bombay, so there is more of redevelopment actually. There's very little fresh land left. So, so one option is to get into a joint development where some build space comes back to the landowner. Second option is where they say we don't want to participate in this risk. हमको आज ही पैसा दे दो, as you had assumed in the example. तो लगभग वैसे ही होता है that I am the owner. नहीं जाऊंगा, फिर आपको जो करना है आगे आप करो. And then the question is how much should we demand as a price from the developer? तो इसमें क्या होता है, see if you are working with a developer, the developer will tell you what IRR the developer is comfortable with. Here what do we assume as an IRR which is reasonable, which is palatable to the builder, because इतना करके developer के पास जाके developer should not say कि इतने IRR में होता नहीं. So what in your opinion is a reasonable IRR for a project?
Okay, for me, any IRR between 12 to 15-16% is reasonable for a builder.
Okay.
Because
so if
see,
we are
any builder,
conservative
if he is getting only 8 or 9%, so obviously he will think that if I am taking very big risk, I am getting 6 or 7% in FD. Why should I do this project? So obviously he will expect at least 12 to 15% IRR, then only he will do the project. Ideally, they will expect at least 15% for that project.
Right. Okay. So if we assume 15% from the landowner side, it is a reasonable IRR.
It would be reasonable from the landowner side also, because see, it would be win-win situation. If builder is getting 15%, obviously he will agree to the value of the land then.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
सर डीसीएफ में क्या रेट कंसीडर करें ठीक रहेगा? जो
Pardon?
डीसीएफ कैलकुलेट करने के लिए रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट क्या रीजनेबल है?
नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मैं नॉर्मली व्हाट आई कंसीडर इज दैट मैं IRR ही देखता हूँ कि वो सिमिलर बिजनेस में क्या IRR लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं और वही लेके मैं करता हूँ.
ओके.
राइट. डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो टेक्निक आप किस चीज के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं उस पे रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट काफी डिपेंड होगा. जैसे वीरेंद्र जी, आप नॉर्मल से लाइफ इंश्योरेंसेस में आप डील करते हो. सपोज यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग इट इन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, राइट? That the life insurance company, they give you the scheme that you give me 1 lakh rupees for 20 years. After 20 years, we will give you say 5 lakh rupees every year. Am I right?
Yeah.
And suppose you are expecting 15% return from the investment. Then in discounted cash flow technique, I will use 15%. If you are expecting 10% return from the investment, I will use 10%. So in DCF, it is the rate of interest expected by the investor that will be using. अगर ऐसे लाइफ इंश्योरेंस उसकी बात करो, ऐसे इन्वेस्टमेंट में, तो जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट आप एक्सपेक्ट करते हो वो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट से आप पूरा कैश फ्लो को आज की वैल्यू पे लाओगे. बिकॉज सी, यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग 12% या 15% रिटर्न फ्रॉम द लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी, तो ऑब्वियसली वॉट एवर यू आर गिविंग, इवन दैट हैज टू बी ब्रॉट बाय 12 or 15% only to the present value. So it would be the rate of interest that you are expecting from the investment.
सर वो तो ठीक हो गया, बट फेयर वैल्यूएशन करनी है आज मुझे. व्हाट्स द रीजनेबल फेयर वैल्यूएशन निकालनी किसी प्रॉपर्टी की, तो उसके लिए क्या आज के दिन रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रहेगा?
नहीं, जैसे मैंने बताया,
आई एम टेकिंग 8%. इज इट सफिशिएंट?
नहीं, इट डिपेंड्स. सी इफ आई एम, जैसे मैंने वो IRR एक केस बताया कि मैंने वो इन्वेस्टर के लिए किया वेयर इट वाज अ रेंटेड प्रॉपर्टी. So we had considered IRR before between 9 to 10% would be good for him. But if I am doing a real estate project, so I will not be satisfied between 9 to 10% because it would be a big risk. So there I am expecting 12 to 15%. So it depends on what is the risk in the investment.
Sir, the question I'm asking about is a property which is on lease for 30 years, 12 years has passed, 18 years lease is pending. In that case, प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकालनी है तो क्या रेट ठीक रहेगा?
तो उसमें हम लोग जो करते हैं, उसमें हम लोग ऑलमोस्ट 2 to 3% हायर देन द बैंक FD लेते हैं, क्योंकि नाउ व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इज अबाउट द लीज एग्रीमेंट एंड यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रेंटल वैल्यू. तो वही मैंने बताया कि हम लोग रेंटल वैल्यू बिटवीन 9 to 10% गिनते हैं. इफ इट इज रेंटल वैल्यू, लीज्ड है, आपका रेंट आ रहा है, तो हम लोग को उसके बीच में गिनते हैं. So that we normally consider 2 to 3% higher than the bank FD value.
Okay.
Yeah, Kiran.
Sir, you told that you did valuation for 7 crores and the person was getting IRR about 9 to 9.5%. What are the details you collected to get this number?
Kiran, let me show you the Excel sheet. Actually, it's a very, very big Excel sheet which I had made for them. Okay, give me 1 minute. Let me show you the Excel sheet.
That's why I asked, sir. It will be very huge calculation.
So this is the Excel sheet, Kiran, I had prepared for that party. Actually, as I said, he had given 31 shops. Totally 31 shops he had given it on lease, right? And the lease rent he had given, the lease was increasing every 3 years, right? So he had given us the rental value, which is what is the rent today and what is the rent escalation every 3 years, right? He had given what outgoings we had to consider. So what I did, that for every 3 years rental period, I had found out the CV for every 3 years, and then that CV I brought it to the present value. जो हर 3 साल का जो CV निकलता है, using the YP single rate, I had used that CV, and that CV I brought it to the present value. So that I did it for every three years time interval. Now it was for 50 years. So for one shop, say rent from 2023 to 2025, then 2026 to 28, 29 to 31, 32 to 34. So for 50 years, I had calculated. If you see the, Excel sheet, it starts from A, B, C, D. वो Z तक का कॉलम खत्म हो जाता है. Then AA वाला सीरीज चालू होता है, वो भी AZ खत्म हो जाता है. फिर B वाला सीरीज चालू होता है, वो भी BZ खत्म हो जाता है. फिर C वाला सीरीज वो I had calculated for 50 years. So from one shop, I am getting this net present value. And मैं सभी shops का ऐसे निकालूंगा. Now that builder wanted to sell it in 7 crore. That builder wanted to sell it in 7 crore. So using different rate of interest, trial and error method, I will see that at what rate of interest my net present value is coming 7 crore. So that will be my IRR. So my rate of interest, my 7 crore, it was coming at 9.5% over here. It was coming at 9.5%. So I told the investor, I gave him this Excel sheet that this is how we have calculated, and it is coming at 9.5%. And then he agreed to purchase this 31 shops, and the deal was closed. So this is how we use this internal rate of return. So the
Sir, how
only
many
data
years
which
it
I
took to
required
recover?
was what was the rental value, what was the outgoings, what was the increment in the rent. That was the only data which I required for this assignment.
Sir, how many years it was required to recover that 7 crores, sir?
How many?
How many years it was required to recover that 7 crores?
How many years? Sir, it's not about how many years. See, usko 50 years that whatever the rental income is getting for 50 years. And if you bring all that rental income today at present value at 9.5%, it is coming to 7 crore.
Yeah, okay, sir.
And after that, he is going to get the property rights in the property, obviously. So his IRR was 9.5. So he was very happy and he had purchased these properties. So
10
anyone
years,
with any
10
more
years is
questions?
not sufficient, sir.
Pardon?
Instead of 50 years, shall we not consider 10 years only?
Sir, it is whatever agreement is made. If the builder has made it for 50 years, I have to consider that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we go ahead? So that was IRR. Now lease, we all know what is lease. Basically, lease is the transfer of right to enjoy the property, right? So whenever you are leasing a property, so you are giving rights to the lessee. Now, like even the lessee will be having the rights in the property, right? I'll be going to the important points only. So whenever there is any lease agreement, so you should consider these following points: that what is the lease rent? What is the lease rent? What is the total period of the lease? What is the unexpired period of the lease? Like Virendra ji was saying that 20 years has already gone, only 10 years is remaining. So Virendra ji will be taking example for that also, right? So what is the unexpired period of the lease? Whether this lease is renewable for further period or not. If the lease is renewable, right, lease rent will remain same as old lease rent or new rent will be fixed, right? What amount will be paid to the lessor in case of sale or assignment of the property? Like if you are taking lease of land on lease from Industrial Development Corporation, whenever you assign your lease to someone else, you have to prepay the transfer fee to the Industrial Corporation. So what transfer fee has to be paid? On maturity of lease, whether the land will vest back to the lessor or what will happen to the building constructed by the lessee on the lease plot if it is a building lease and the lessee is constructing the building, then what should happen to that building after the lease is over, right? Will building vest free of cost to the lessor, or will lessor pay its value to the lessee? So these are a few points you have to consider whenever you are, doing any leasehold properties. So we all know that in leasehold properties, means this comes under the rent capitalization or the yield method. So this income, this approach, what does it considers? That what income the asset will generate over its remaining useful life. And we will estimate the value through a capitalization process. And for that capitalization process, we use this formula, CV is equal to NI into YP, where YP is the years purchase. And for years purchase, like you might have learned in your 50 hours training program, that you have 3 different formulas for years purchase. Normally, if your income is perpetual, your income is in perpetuity, then you use YP is equal to 100 upon R or 1 upon small r. Basically, here I have written capital R, but it's 1 upon small r. Right? Where your income is in perpetuity or above 60, I consider it as perpetual income. I use YP is equal to 1 upon R. Then YP single rate. We have YP single rate formula, that is 1 minus PV by R, where PV is the present value factor of 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. Right? This formula we will use when the income from your property is less than 60 years and recoupment of capital is not required, when you don't need to recoup the capital. And then there is the third formula for YP, that is YP dual rate. It is 1 upon R plus S. This formula we will use for terminable income, where the income is less than 60 years. Where the income is less than 60 years and recoupment of capital is required. And here S will be the annual sinking fund factor of R upon 1 plus R raised to the power n minus 1. So these are the 3 formulas that we use for YP. So let us go through these examples. Now, normally there are 4 eventualities in respect of valuation of leasehold interest in which a valuer is required to give his advice. So it can be lease with premium paid earlier while entering into a lease with the condition of rising rents. This is very common nowadays. As you see, if some person has given a property on lease for 10 years, the rent is not same throughout 10 years. The rent increases every 2 years or every 3 years. There is rising rents, right? So we will take one example for that also. Then it can be grant of lease or renewal of lease after the expiry of existing lease and renewal of lease before the expiry of the present lease by surrendering the existing lease. So this can be the 4 eventualities. So we will be taking one example for all the eventualities, right? So first I will be taking one example of lease with premium that was paid earlier. It's a very simple example. The owner of a commercial property has leased out the property on full repair lease at the rent of rupees 2 lakh per month for 20 years in the year 2010 with due premium paid in 2010. The fair market rent of the property as on today is 10 lakh per month. The total outgoings as on today is 40 lakh rupees per annum. Consider the remunerative rate of interest as on today as 8%. Calculate the lessor's interest and the lessee's interest in the property. आपको लेसर का भी इंटरेस्ट निकालना है, लेसी का भी इंटरेस्ट निकालना है. Now कैसे करेंगे? See, normally whenever we calculate any person's interest in the property, we don't do valuation of the property, we do value of what? A person's rights or interest in the property. And to find the interest in the property, we see that what benefit what benefit that person gets from his rights in the property. किसी भी पर्सन का आपको इंटरेस्ट फाइंड आउट करना है तो आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि उसको उसके राइट से क्या बेनिफिट मिल रहा है, what benefit he is getting from his rights in the property. So here let us calculate the lesser's interest and lessee's interest. So lesser's interest will be twofold. The right to receive lease rent for the unexpired period of lease, that is for 10 years, because lease started in 2010. It is for 20 years. So lease will end in 2030. We are doing valuation in 2020. So in 2020, he can get the rent for next 10 years. So it is the right to receive lease rent for the unexpired period of next 10 years. And then right to receive fair market rent of 10 lakh per annum. 10 साल के बाद, after 10 years, when the lease will be over, the lessor will get the entire property. So once he gets back the entire property, now he can give this property on rent. So right to receive this fair market rent of 10 lakh per annum, less outgoings after 10 years due to the reversion rights of the property. So हम लोग lessor के लिए we will be calculating these two rights. Now we'll use the rent capitalization method. Now for the lease period, the rent he is getting is 2 lakhs per month. That is 24 lakhs per year. Now here I'll be using YP single rate formula. Why single rate formula? Because the income is only for 10 years. 10 years means it is less than 60 years. Income is terminable. And after 10 years, he is getting back his property. So we don't need the recoupment of the capital. Recoupment of capital is not required. So we always use YP single rate formula. Right? So CV is NI into YP. His NI is 24 lakhs and YP is 1 minus PV by R. Here N, it is the unexpired period of lease, that is 10 years. So we will be using the 10 years. And R I am using, here they had said that the remunerative rate in the market is 8%. But I am using a lower rate of interest, 6.75%. The reason is that the rental value today in market is 10 lakh and he is receiving only 2 lakh. So isn't it a very, very secured rent? अगर आज रेंटल वैल्यू 10 लाख है और अगर आपको 2 ही लाख रुपया लेना है तो वो ऐसी कहीं पे भी भागने नहीं वाला है, बहुत ज्यादा सिक्योर्ड होगा. Am I right? So whenever it is a secured rent, see the rate considered is 6.5% and not 8% because rent is 5 times more secure. Instead of 10 lakh, I am taking only 2 lakh, 5 times more secure. So I am taking a lower rate of interest here. Whenever the rent is secured, the rate of interest will be lower. क्योंकि secured rent है तो कोई भी lower rate of interest में भी agree करेगा, right? So I have taken a lower rate of interest. So I am getting the CV value as 170.64 lakhs. That is his first interest in the property. The rental value of for 10 years. Then after 10 years, he will get back the entire property. So there will be the reversionary value of the property. So now once in 2030, if the owner is getting the property, the lessor is getting back the property, he can lease this property on rent, right? So market rent is 10 lakh per annum. So now he will not give it at 2 lakhs. He can give it at 10 lakh per annum. Isn't it? So it will be 120 lakhs per year. Outgoings are 40 lakhs per annum, right? So what would be his net annual income? After 10 years, he can start getting a net annual income of 80 lakhs. Am I right? So CV value in 2030, because this new rental term will start from 2030. So this CV, we will get it in 2030. That will be NI into YP. NI is 80 lakhs. Now I assume that he can give it in perpetuity. So it will be 100 by R. Here now I am taking R as 8% because now it is not secured ground rent. It is normal market rent. So I am taking the normal remunerative rate of interest. So he will be getting a CV value of 10 crore rupees in 2030. But this 10 crore is when? In 2030. But you are doing valuation in 2020. So if he is getting 10 crore in 2030, what is the value today in 2020? So you have to defer that value using the present value factor formula of 1/1 plus R raised to the power n. So using the present value factor formula, I will bring that 10 crore rupees value to today's value, and it is coming 463 lakhs. So this is his second interest in the property. And then you can add his both the interest and you can say this is the interest of lesser in the property. Right? Same way, if you want to find out the lessee's interest. Yeah, Kushal.
Sir, I have a question. To come at the present value in 2020, we shall have used the rate of inflation, right? Rather than the rate of interest we are taking. It's not exact. The rate of interest is not exactly the rate of inflation in the economy.
See, here we never use the rate of inflation.
हाँ.
Normally we use the remunerative rate of interest. आपका जो remunerative rate of interest है, हम लोग उसी से करते हैं. Because everything you are calculating the future value. आप 10 साल के बाद भी same remunerative rate of interest ही आप use कर रहे हैं. So with that same remunerative rate of interest only you can use it today. See, rate of inflation, it can be more this year, it can be less that year, next year. But हम लोग जो भी calculation ये करते हैं, that we are doing it by remunerative rate of interest.
Okay.
Even for present value, हर एक उसमें हम लोग यही same use करेंगे.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now for lessee, he has got a right to use this property for next 10 years. Am I right? Because lease started in 2010, lease will end in 2020. So he can use it for next 10 years. Now to find out lessee's interest, what I said, we will find out what benefit he is getting from his interest. So what benefit lessee is getting? Normal market rent is 10 lakh per annum. So it can be 120 lakh per annum, right? It was 10 lakh per month. So it is 120 lakh per annum. But how much lease rent he is giving right now? Only 2 lakh per year. Right? So it is 24 lakhs per month. So outgoings, it was a full repair lease. So lessee has to bear the outgoing at present. So what net profit he is getting? He is getting a net profit of, say, he should have paid 120 lakhs, but he is spending only 64 lakhs. So still he is getting a 56 lakh benefit from this property every year. So we will capitalize this 56 lakhs for next 10 years. Now here I am using YP dual rate formula. Why YP dual rate formula? Because this profit to him is for only 10 years, for a limited period, and he had paid premium to acquire the lease right. So since he had paid the premium, recoupment of the premium will be required. The recoupment is capital is required. And when the recoupment of capital is required, we use the YP dual rate formula, which is 1 upon R plus S, where S is the annual sinking fund factor of R upon 1 plus R is to the power n minus 1. Here small r is the rate of recoupment. The rate of recoupment, normally we consider a very lower rate of interest between 3 to 4%. I have considered 3%. And this capital R is the remunerative rate of interest. Normally, the remunerative rate of interest we take for, if we take 8% for lesser, we take a higher rate of interest, at least 1% higher for lessee. So for lesser, it was 8, I have taken 9% over here. So CV is NI into YP. You can say this is the interest of lessee in the property. Right? So anyone with any question in this example?
Sir,
Yeah.
as we are calculating lessee's interest, like is he able to get bank loan from this calculation at all?
Obviously, even lessee can get loans from the property. If you see any factory buildings and all, most of the factory, many factory buildings, the lessee means the factory owners, they are taking it on lease, and even they are taking loans from the bank.
And
but there you have to find out their interest in the property and give the valuation accordingly. Like yesterday I was in Ahmedabad. I had to do visit for an NCLT case. मैं एक NCLT case के लिए visit करने गया था. Now the corporate debtor, you know, he had taken that property on lease. So I'll be calculating the lease rights and giving valuation for him.
No, sir, as I know, like while calculating the lessee's interest, we have to consider the at least 1 year less than his lease period.
That is obviously, agar Kiran, if I give you a property on lease for 10 years, so you cannot take it for 11, 12 years. क्योंकि आप तो उससे ही कम का ही लीज ले सकते हैं, right? So that is why it's not that.
And here you have considered dual rate of interest. Lessee is actually not investing anything. He is just paying 2 lakhs rent and he is enjoying the property for the mentioned year. Whether he is making any investment.
Sir, it is with due premium paid. Isn't that an investment, sir?
Yes, sir, but he is not making any like development or anything like that.
Sir, it's not about that the investment should be only in the buildings. Premium is also an investment.
Okay.
That is also a capital. Recoupment आपको कब चाहिए रहेगा? When you need the recoupment, when somebody has made an capital investment and his income is getting terminated, and when his income is getting terminated, he is not getting back the capital. So premium he will not be getting back. So there the recoupment will be required.
Sir,
when the income is getting terminated and you are not getting back the capital, then the recoupment of the capital will be required, and there we'll use the YP dual rate.
Sir, if the initial paid amount is refundable, then dual rate is not
If
required.
it was refundable, then we would have used the word security deposit, not the premium. Okay. When you use the word premium, premium means it is, the advance rent that we are taking. Then we would have not used the word premium. We would have used the word security deposit over there.
No, sir, if it is like security deposit.
If it was refundable, so obviously we would have used the single rate over here.
Okay. A few days back, even I have done a valuation similar to this, sir. But the bank officials were not able to understand how I did this calculation.
Sir,
and sir, in this problem, you have mentioned that the rate of interest is 8%. Like everything is given in this problem. But in real life scenario, we have to assume that rate of interest rate, sir. So generally, I am taking the interest which is given by the government bonds. I will
tell me one thing. Will you invest in any real estate property if you are getting interest only like government bonds?
No, sir. Like
obviously, it should be at least 2 to 3% higher than the government bonds.
No, sir. But there should be like how I should show them, sir, how I attain this rate of interest. So I am taking it as base.
You can do it 2-3 ways. First of all, you can take 2 to 3% more than FD rates, or what you can do, you can see what is the return from similar investment. आपका उसको you have to do survey and do statistical analysis, or I use the Supreme Court judgment that was given for Rent Control Act properties, wherein the court said that you can compare the investment. You can compare the investment of the owner with the government bonds, and then you can add 1.5% more if it is investment in land, 2.5% for the building part, and you can add 1% more for taking risk in leasehold properties. So I can use that Supreme Court judgment also to arrive at the value of.
Sir, in the same way I did it, sir. Like as he is investing in the property, I added 1.5%, and it is under lease, so I added a risk factor of 1%. So in the similar way, as per the Supreme Court order, I have done it. But they are not able to understand. They are saying like, do it in land and building method.
Sir.
And actually, sir, when I did in the land and building valuation, and when I used it leasehold property as the Supreme Court order, there was a difference of 15 lakhs in the valuation.
15 lakhs is a very small amount, sir.
Yes, sir, it is a small.
Let me give you an example. Kiran, I have, made a factory. I have a land. I have constructed a factory. My value of the property by land and building is 5 crore rupees. My investment in that property is 5 crore rupees. Now, suppose I have given that factory on lease. Say I have one of my friend, and me and my friend is running a factory over there. Me and my friend, we are running a factory over there. And obviously my firm with my friend, they need GST. They want some subsidies in electricity bills and everything. So they want some lease agreement to be done with me. So I had made a lease agreement with my firm. Am I right? Now I feel that it is my own firm. Whatever lease rent I mentioned, what difference it will make? So what I did, I made a lease agreement of 20 years. Showing a rent of only 1 lakh rupees per annum. Kiran, showing a rent of only 1 lakh rupees per annum. Right? Now, suppose I give you the valuation assignment. You do a land and building method and you give me a valuation of 5 crore rupees. Bank gives me a loan of 4 crore rupees. And I get default, NPA. Now, when bank will go to attach the property, what my firm will say? That Vimal is a different entity. We have got the lease rent agreement. We can use this property for next 20 years at 1 lakh rupees per annum. Now, will bank be able to sell it in 5 crore rupees? Sir, nobody will buy this property even in 50 lakh rupees. आप तो 15 लाख के डिफरेंस की बात कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे तो 3 करोड़ का डिफरेंस आएगा.
Sir, but it is a small assignment, no, sir.
Sir,
Like
maybe the small assignment 15 lakh will be a bigger value. So
Yes.
obviously, whenever it is a leasehold properties, you cannot use this land and building method. Sir, you have to use the income approach only. Otherwise,
there
it
are-
will make a very, very big difference.
Yes, sir. There are so many owners who are not ready to give their rent agreements or lease agreements. They will be knowing like the valuation will be different.
So then don't give the valuation, sir.
Yes,
When you know that there is a lessee in the property,
yes, sir.
right? Why are you taking risk then?
Yes, sir.
Chaliye. Let's move to the next example.
Sir, one. Yeah. What
Yeah,
is the
Sampath Kumar,
what is the basis for assumption of recoupment rate, sir? How do we assume actually that 3% is the recoupment rate?
Basically, what we see that the lease period is for how many years? Say if it is 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. You can do it in 2 ways. See, first of all, everything you can do by using statistics. If it is for 10 years, मैं ये देखता हूँ कि 10 years में गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड या बैंक एफडी के रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कितने फ्लक्चुएट हो रहे हैं, कितने कम हो रहे हैं, वो हिसाब से either I can arrive it. On most of the valuers, what they do in the most simplest way, कि वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं कि बैंक जो आपको नॉर्मल सेविंग्स अकाउंट में जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट देते हैं ना, दे आर कंसीडरिंग दैट ओनली. सो इट इज बिटवीन 3 to 4%. या मोहम्मद आसिफ.
सर एक केस हमारे पास आया था सर, वो लेसी के लिए हम लोगों को वैल्यू निकालनी है, लेसी के लिए निकालनी है, वो एनपीए हो चुका है और सर वो ओपन लैंड है, उस पर कोई इनकम नहीं है सर. ऐसे केस में क्या करेंगे सर जब उस पर कुछ इनकम नहीं है, कुछ रेंट ही नहीं आता?
लेसी लैंड किसका है?
लैंड तो सर लीज पर है और लीज उसकी बची है सिर्फ 15 साल की और
लीज 15 साल की बची है और
बस।
लैंड लेसर का है. अभी
ठीक है
लेसी ने उसके ऊपर कुछ बनाया नहीं है.
नहीं.
ओके, तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि आपको जो लैंड का वैल्यू है वो निकालना पड़ेगा
जी.
और आपको नॉर्मल यील्ड देखना पड़ेगा कि नॉर्मल मार्केट में व्हाट इज द यील्ड इफ सच अ लैंड इज गिवन ऑन रेंट. Say for example, the yield is 3 to 4%. Land is of 10 crore. So normally you will get 40 lakh rupees rent for the land in a year. Now lessee ने वो lessee rent दे रहा है 20 लाख रुपए का. ये 40 lakhs आ रहा है. So now you can say that lessee is getting a 20 lakh rupees benefit from this land. So you can capitalize that 20 lakh rupees benefit for next 15 years. An expired period of this.
एज्यूम करना पड़ेगा सर.
You have to find out what is the market rent. Okay, if lessee has taken it at market rent only, lessee का जो रेंट है वो मार्केट रेंट के बराबर ही है, तो उसका कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं आएगा. वैल्यू ऑफ हिज लेसीज इंटरेस्ट विल बी 0.
अच्छा ठीक,
राइट. अगर उसको बेनिफिट एडिशनल बेनिफिट मिल रहा है तो उसका वैल्यू आएगा. राइट. चलिए now lease with conditions of rising rent. Now this can be more of a practical kind of example. Yeah, Vikas ji. Sir, you have to unmute yourself. अब unmute कीजिए sir.
What is the 40 lakhs that
That was the outgoing.
expenditures?
Outgoings in the
consider?
property.
Yes.
Outgoings in the property.
What is the outgoing?
It can be property tax,
It is-
it can be repairs, maintenance, everything.
Repair. That should be leasing is doing that or lessor is doing.
It depends. It depends. If it is full repair lease, then lessee will be bearing all the outgoings.
Because normally the lessor is responsible for the repairs and outgoings and taxes extra. Then it
Sir,
is
here
not
it
comes
is,
under the-
it is mentioned it is on full repair lease. If it is on full repair lease, the lessee will be bearing all the outgoings.
full repair rate. Full
Full
repair
repair
rate.
lease. It is on full
Yeah.
repair lease.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, condition of rising rent. Now, as I said, nowadays when you see the leases, normally the lease rent, it is not same throughout the entire period of lease. Am I right? The lease rent keeps on increasing every 2 years or 3 years. So I am taking one such similar example for it. This type of example, this is more of a practical kind of example. So this type of example, day in, day out, you can get for your, valuation assignments. Mr. A has given his office having fair market value of 5 crore as on today. Say, for example, the value of this property is 5 crore. If it is a freehold property, if the property is freehold, not given on lease, then the market value of the property is 5 crore. But now Mr. A is giving this property on lease to Mr. B for 10 years. वो 10 साल के लिए lease पे दे रहा है. The now net outgoings are 2 lakhs per annum. Now in this case, because we are considering that it will be borne by Mr. A, on lessor is going to bear this because it's not on repair lease. The net outgoing is 2 lakhs per annum, which includes property tax, maintenance, etc. Mr. A has taken 40 lakhs as refundable deposit, which would be refunded back on the expiry of lease, but without interest. Now the lease rentals are, say from today, 14/10/23 to 13/10/26, it is 32 lakhs per annum. From 14/10/26 to 13/10/29, 37 lakhs, and 14/10/29 to 3/10/33, it is 42 lakhs per annum. Now, how shall we arrive at the interest of Mr. A in the property? So what I said, whenever you want to find out the interest of any person in the property, what we find, what we see, that what benefit that person is getting from his interest in the property, right? So here, what benefit Mr. A can get? Mr. A को यहाँ पे क्या-क्या benefit मिलेगा? He can get the rent for 10 years. Am I right? He can get the rent for 10 years. After 10 years, he can get back the property. So there will be reversionary value of the property. And also he has taken 40 lakhs. Also he has taken 40 lakhs as the refundable deposit, which is going to refund after 10 years. So he can use this 40 lakhs for 10 years. So whatever is the interest on 40 lakhs, that is also benefit to Mr. A. So here we will be calculating 3 benefits for Mr. A in the property. The capitalized value of rental income, the reversionary value of the property, and the interest gained on refundable security deposit. Now for this capitalized value of rental income, I am using this formula CV is equal to NI into YP. Where CV, I am using this formula CV is equal to NI into YP, where CV is the capitalized value of rental income on the start date of rental period. Whenever we calculate the CV, whatever is the rental income, you are getting the CV value at the start date of the rental income. NI and YP. YP, I am using YP single rate because say the rental income is only for 10 years, it is less than 60 years. Am I right? Rental income is 10 years, it is less than 60 years. And he is getting back his property. So recoupment is not required. So I am using YP single rate. Okay, now if you see over here, the NI rental income is not same throughout 10 years period. Am I right? So I cannot calculate the CV at one single stretch. So what I will do, I will calculate CV in 3 parts. So for this capitalized value of rental income, his first interest in the property, I am going to use this formula, and for all the three rental, all the three period, I will calculate CV separately. CV for the first term, 14/10/23 to 13/10/26. So CV you will get it on which date? The start date of rental income. What is the start date? 14/10/23. So always make it a habit of writing down the CV value in bracket, the date of CV. So this CV I am getting it on 14/10/23. It is NI into YP. NI is what? The net income. The net income was how much? Gross income was 32 lakhs per annum. 2 lakhs are outgoing. So your net income will be 32 minus 2. And YP is 1 minus PV by R. Right? Where this N is for 3 years because this income is for 3 years period. This income is for 3 years period. So I have taken N as 3. And here I have considered the R as 10% for ease of calculations. So here I am getting this CV value of 74.60 lakhs as on today, as on the date of valuation. This is for the CV value for the first rental period. Yeah, Vikas. Sir, unmute.
2 lakhs per year.
हाँ सर आप म्यूट पे चले गए. या विकास जी.
2 lakhs per year. So that for period for 3 years, it will be expenditure
Sir.
6 lakhs.
What is NI? It is net
income.
Annual income. What is your net yearly income? So he is getting 32 lakhs per year minus 2 lakhs. So his net yearly income will be 30 lakhs, right? आपको वो 3 साल का टोटल नहीं करना है. What is NI? 1 साल का जो इनकम है वो लेना है NI. 3 साल का टोटल नहीं करना है, right?
Yes.
So it is 30. Clear? So it is NI into YP. So you are getting this CV value of 74.60 lakh for this first rental term, for this first rental term as on today. Then for the second rental term, it starts from 14/10/26 to 13/10/29. So CV value we will get it on which date? The start date of rental period, 14/10/26. So this CV you are getting it on 14/10/26. Again NI into YP. Again NI was how much? 37 lakh per annum minus 2 lakhs. Am I right? So it is 35. Here again I am taking N as 3 years because the rental income is for 3 years. So I am getting this CV value of 86.80 lakhs as on 14/10/26. But when are we doing valuation? We are doing valuation on 14/10/23. He is getting this 86 lakhs when he is getting this value in 2026. Is the value what 86 lakh if he is getting it in after 3 years? Is the value of that 86 lakh same today? No. So you have to bring it to present value. So what I will do, I will bring this to present value using the present value factor formula of 1/1 plus R raised to the power n. Using that, I will bring that 86 lakh rupees value to today's value. Here value of n I am taking as 3 years because you are bringing from 2026 to 2023. You are differing for 3 years. So this 86 lakh rupees value, I am bringing it to today's value using present value factor formula. So now I will say that this is the rent capitalized value of second term as on the date of valuation, today's date. Clear है?
सर आर इसमें 0.1 आपने कैसे दिया?
मैंने 10% आर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एज्यूम किया हुआ है.
ठीक है सर, ओके.
या सबको क्लियर है ये मैंने किया है वो? Then we'll take for the third rental term. Our third rental term, it was from 14/10/29 to 13/10/33. This was for a period of 4 years. Now CV you will get it on start date of rental term, that is 14/10/29. is NI, the gross income was 42 lakh per annum, outgoings are 2 lakhs, so it is 42 minus 2. So NI I am getting, here I am taking N as 4 years because the rental income is for 4 years period. So I am getting this CV value of 126 lakhs on which date? 1410. Okay, here it is not 33, it is 1410
29.
29. It is 1410 29. 1310, 1410 29. Now I am doing valuation when 1410 23. So I have to defer this for how many years? कितने साल पीछे लाऊंगा?
6 years.
So I will defer it for 6 years. So I am deferring it for 6 years using the present value factor formula. And I am bringing this 126 lakh rupees value to today's value using the present value factor formula. So now this is the rent capitalized value of third term as on the present date of valuation.
Sir, why can't we bring that first term, like 3 years, to present value? Hello, sir.
Sorry friends, power gaya. So I was disconnected. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, I was asking, the first lease period is 3 years, and the amount what we are getting after 3 years is may not be same as today. So why we are not converting it to the present value?
Sir, we have converted into present value, sir.
No, sir. First term, it is not converted, sir, for first term.
किया.
सर ये फर्स्ट टर्म की जब हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं
Yes,
तो
sir.
व्हाट आई सेड व्हाटएवर इज द CV value you are getting it on what date? Start date of rental period. So if you are getting it on 14/10/23 today's date, so today's date it's already on present date, तो उसको present value पे क्यों लाओगे किरण?
No, sir. Okay.
It's already on the present date. Yes, Sanjay ji. Sanjay Joshi ji.
Sir, one small question. While
Yes, sir.
calculating
Yes, sir.
3 different tenures of 3 years each, I think we should
Yeah.
take into consideration the security deposit of to the extent of 40 lakh, which the owner has received, and it's a sort of liability on the part of owner that on completion of lease or on expiry of lease, the said 40 lakh sum is payable. So how will you account for this particular refund liability during this calculation? Please explain. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So here if you see, I have considered 3 interest. First was the capitalized value of rental income, the reversionary value of the property, and interest gained on security refundable deposit, right? So that I will be accounting in this third part. Here we are on the first part right now, the capitalized value
Okay. Continue.
of rental
Continue,
income.
sir. Please.
Right? So now we have calculated the interest of all the 3 rental terms, and then we will take the total. So now we are getting this capitalized value of rental income, the 10 years rental income value, the capitalized value of this rental income as on today as 210.48 lakhs. So this is his first interest in the property, that is the capitalized value of rental income. This is the first interest. Now second interest in the property is the reversionary value of the property. Second interest in the property is the reversionary value of the property. Now when will he get back the property? उसको property कब वापस मिलेगी?
33.
10 years later.
In 33.
Sir, after 10 years.
सर जी 12 बजे से पहले पहुंचना है. अगर आज अटेंड नहीं करोगे तो अगली बार कर लोगे. कोई बुराई तो नहीं है इसमें, तो तुम्हारा टाइमिंग का ही तो है.
Issues in my network. Okay. So we know what is the present value of the property. It was 5 crores. Do we know what will be the value of the property after 10 years? So we don't know what would be the value of the property after 10 years. So what most of the valuer does, what most of the valuer are doing, that they say that we don't know what would be the value after 10 years. The value might increase or value might decrease also. So whatever is the value of the property today, say 5 crore rupees, they are considering the same value of 5 crore rupees after 10 years. वो लोग same value consider करते हैं after 10 years. But if you really want to find out what could be the value of the property after 10 years,
Diव्या 10% per year per annum of that 5 crore.
I'm very sorry, there is some, internet issues from my side. So you can use statistics to find out what can be the value of the property after, 10 years. So in this case, I have considered the statistics. In this case, I have considered statistics. So using the long-term trend, I came to a conclusion that the value of the property will be 20% more than today's value after 10 years. So fair market value today was given 5 crore. So value of the property after 10 years in 2033, it will be 6 crore. Am I right? But this 6 crore rupees value will be when? It will be after 10 years. When are we doing valuation?
Today.
We are doing valuation today, 2023. So what you have to do? You have to defer this 6 crore rupees value by 10 years and bring it to today's value. So you can say this is the reversionary value of the property. The second interest in the property. This is the reversionary value of the property. This is the second interest of Mr. A in the property. And then the third interest, it was about the security deposit. How much security? Yeah, Vikas.
What is the method of to find out the 20% increase in the value of the property?
As I said, you have to, if you want to do it in practical life, you can take the statistics. You can see the time series graph. आप एक time series graph बनाओ of year versus rate. You take the what are the rates of offices in your area in 1980, 81, 82, 83, 84. Plot a graph up to 2023, and that graph you can extend and you can find out what can be the rates of the property in your office in your area in 2033. statistically you can, predict the rates of the property in after 10 years,
But
right?
in a real estate practice, in a real estate practice, it should be the sine curve, psychological curves, that some days property
हाँ, वो
are
ऐसे ही
increased,
आएगा.
and after some
अगर
days,
आप if you see practically, if you see the graph, तो real estate it will always be like this. रियल एस्टेट में अगर हम ग्राफ देखते हैं तो वो ऐसे ऐसे ही जाएगा, वो यही प्रोफाइल में जाएगा. बट आपको क्या कर सकते हैं कि 81 से 91 10 ईयर में कितना इंक्रीमेंट हुआ, 82 से 92 10 ईयर में कितना इंक्रीमेंट हुआ, 83 से 93 10 ईयर में कितना इंक्रीमेंट हुआ, 84 94, तो आपको हर 10 साल का ऐसा 40 इंक्रीमेंट मिलेगा. उसका आप एवरेज आउट कर सकते हो, तो आप कह सकते हो कि हर 10 साल में कितना हो सकता है, राइट?
yes,
बराबर है विकास जी?
yeah,
So there are different statistical methods by which you can, predict what can be the value after 10 years.
So, sorry, is it the same formula for present value before 3 years or maybe after 3 years? Is it the same formula?
Pardon?
Is it the same formula which you have to use for present value if I have to get an income of as the example that 86.8 lakh, the present value you have calculated using the formula 1 by 1 plus R raised n, and now if you want to compute the value after 10 years or so, it is the same formula?
No, it's not the same formula, because see, to bring the reversionary value, we are using the present value factor of 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. If we are using this same formula, means if you use the compound interest formula, the property value does not increase like compound interest. So here you have to use statistics, use the time series graph, and then only you can predict. You cannot use this formula to find out the future value of the property. You can never use that.
But what is written here is the same. That's why I'm asking.
Pardon?
Whatever is written in the same slide, it is the same formula as before also for finding out the net present value, like that.
This PV का formula, right? Bringing to present value factor जो 1 upon 1 plus R raised to power n. That is the same formula that we had used for the net present value.
Okay.
That is the same formula, because whenever you want to bring any value to present value, future value to present value, there we are going to use the only one formula, that is the PV factor formula. That is the PV factor formula of 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n.
Now for finding out the value after 10 years also, you are using the same formula.
No, I am not using that same formula, sir. I am using a time series graph. मैं क्या करूंगा, एक ग्राफ बनाऊंगा.
Okay.
In progress.
I will plot a graph of year versus rate.
All right.
Here it will be year, here it will be rates. And then I will plot a graph. I will be plotting a graph like this. That what would be the value in 1981, 82, 83, 84, up to 2023, then 2033. I will extrapolate that graph. I can get the value. Or then there are many different statistical formula that I will see कि 81 से 91 10 साल में कितना रेट डिफरेंस आया. I will see कि 10 साल में कितना रेट एक्सकालेशन हुआ, कितना रेट डिफरेंस आया. फिर 82 to 92 वो 10 साल में कितना आया. 83 से 93 वो 10 साल में कितना आया. 84 से 94. तो एवरी 10 years के मुझे रेट एक्सकालेशन के ऐसे 30-40 वैल्यूज मिलेंगे. मैं उसका मीन निकालूंगा. And from that, I can predict what would be the value in 2033.
So can we use index?
Statistics for that.
Cost index?
No, not cost index, sir. Not at all cost index.
Sir,
You have to use this
residential index,
past statistical data to forecast. You cannot use the cost index, sir.
सर पिछले 10 साल का हम डाटा एक जो कर्व में आ रहा है उसको हम लीनियरली कंसीडर कर सकते हैं?
नहीं सर, कर्व में ही आएगा, वो लीनियर आएगा नहीं. और 10 साल का तो मैं बोलूंगा भी नहीं कि you take 10 years. You take at least 30 years. You always have to take long term trend, because real estate is always seeing a cyclical motion.
Yes sir.
वो कभी ऊपर जाएगा, कभी नीचे भी आएगा. So
Yes,
don't
sir.
take it for a shorter period. If you want, you have to take it for a longer period, at least 30 years. Right? So that was the second interest in the property. Then if we see the third interest in the property, he had taken a security deposit of 40 lakh rupees. Right? Now after 10 years also he is going to give 40 lakhs only. 10 साल के बाद भी वो वापस 40 लाख ही देने वाला है. So he can use this 40 lakh rupees for 10 years. That is also benefit to Mr. A. So in this example, I have assumed that Mr. A, he will keep this 40 lakh rupees deposit in FD at 7%. He will, जो अभी किसी ने मुझे पूछा था कि वो 40 lakh rupees की liability का क्या करेंगे? So he is keeping it in FD at 7%. तो FD में रखा है तो 10 साल के बाद उसको 40 वापस मिल ही जाएगा, इंटरेस्ट के साथ मिलेगा. Am I right? So if he is keeping that 40 lakh rupees in FD today, then what would be the amount that would accumulate in 2033? For that, we will use the compound interest formula of 1 plus R raised to the power n. Here, where n is for 10 years. So he will get that 40 lakh rupees along with interest, he will get 78.68 lakh rupees in 2033. Am I right? Now, from this 78 lakh rupees, he has to refund back 40 lakh rupees. He has to refund back 40 lakh rupees. तो उसके पास कितना बचेगा? What would be left with him? 38 lakh rupees on 13/10/23. But this 38 lakhs कब होगा? 2033. So again that 38 lakhs you will bring it to present value and you can say this is his third interest in the property. And then you can add all the three interest in the property and you can give a valuation of say 4 crore 56 lakhs as interest of Mr. A in the property. Though the fair market value of the property was 5 crore if it was freehold. But now it is given on lease, I am giving a valuation of 4 crore 56 lakhs. Now understand one thing. Here the rental value was 32 lakhs per annum. But before few minutes I gave one example to Kiran. That what if I had given this on rent of 1 lakh per annum? Right, Kiran? अगर मैंने 1 लाख पर एनम का दिया होता था तो क्या होता था? Then what would have happened? This capitalized value of rental income would have been negligible. In that case, I would have given a valuation of not even 3 crore rupees for the interest of Mr. A in the property. So his value will depend a lot on what rental income he is getting from this property. Right? Anyone with any questions for this example? Because such examples you will keep on getting in your practical day life. यहाँ भी ऐसे examples आते ही रहेंगे. या अनुराग?
सर प्रैक्टिकली बहुत सारी जगह पे तो हर ईयर का रेंटल बढ़ता है. तो सेम
हर ईयर
चीज
का बढ़ता है, आपको हर ईयर का सीवी निकालना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, तो सेम
और
चीज
हर एक सीवी को पीवी में लाना पड़ेगा.
जी हाँ, वही कंफर्म कर.
आपको एक साल का सीवी निकाल, मतलब एक साल का है उसको आपको पीवी में लाना पड़ेगा.
ओके ओके.
एज सिंपल एज
वो सिर्फ एक्सेल वाला एक्सरसाइज हो जाएगा, बट वही मेथड है उसमें.
सर एक ही सिंपल है, एवरीथिंग यू मेक इट ऑन एक्सेल. एक ही फॉर्मूला डालना है, सिर्फ ड्रैग ही करना है, कुछ नहीं करना है सर.
जी जी ओके सर.
चलिए, लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल. चलिए, लेट्स टेक दिस ग्रांट ऑफ न्यू लीज. A shop is proposed to be let out on full repairing lease for 20 years at a rent of 5 lakh per annum. The net income of similar shops let out at the fair market rent is 10 lakh per annum. The rate for capitalization of net annual income from similar freehold shops is 8%. Estimate the premium to be paid by the lessee and accepted by the lessee. Normally market rent वहां पे 10 lakh per annum है. The market rent is 10 lakh per annum. But now it has to be given at a rent of only 5 lakhs per annum by taking some premium. So what should be that premium value? What should be that premium that has to be paid if the rent is to be fixed at 5 lakh per annum? So how we will calculate it? So we will see this both from the lessor's point of view and from lessee's point of view. From lessor's point of view, lessee's, first let us take lessee's point of view. Lessee's point of view, what is the fair market rent? 10 lakh per annum.
Hello.
What is the lease rent? 5 lakh per annum. So what would be the profit rent? It is 5 lakh per annum, right? The profit rent will be 5 lakh per annum. So now lessee, he can take the benefit of this 5 lakh per annum. He can take this benefit of 5 lakh per annum for next 20 years, right? So YP at 20 years using YP dual rate formula. Why I am using dual rate formula? Because he is going to pay the premium. So recoupment of the capital will be required. So YP dual rate at YP at 9% and 3% is coming 7.84. I am taking 1% more than the freehold interest. Freehold interest was given 8%. For lessee, I consider 1% extra, as I said. So I am considering 9%. So gain to lessee is 39 lakhs. So as per lessee, if he is getting a benefit of 39 lakhs by paying a rent of only 5 lakh per annum, so he might be ready to give a premium of 39 lakhs. Now, if I see lessor's point of view, what is the fair market rent today? 10 lakh per annum. So if he is not giving it for 20 years, but if he gives it in perpetuity, then what would be the present interest? It would be 125 lakhs. Right? Now, what is the proposed interest? He is giving it at rent of only 5 lakh per annum. So lease rent will be 5 lakh per annum. So YP 20 years. I am taking YP here rate of interest as only 7%, not 8%, because the rent is 2 times secure. Instead of 10 lakhs per annum, now he is charging only 5 lakhs per annum. So instead of 8, I am considering 7. So YP 20 years, it is coming 10.6. So value of this rent capitalization for 20 years, it is coming 53 lakhs. Now after 20 years, he will get back the property. Right? So we have to consider the reversionary value of the property. So market rent is 10 lakh per annum. YP perpetuity, it will be 100 by 8. So value of the property after 20 years will be 125 lakhs. If I defer it to today's value, it is coming 26.82 lakhs. So now his proposed interest will be this 53 lakh plus 26.82 lakhs. So value of this proposed interest for lessee is coming 79.82 lakhs. But what is the value of present interest? 125 lakhs. So usko kitna loss aa raha hai? 45 lakhs ka. So he will charge a premium of 45 lakhs. As per lessee, the premium should be 39 lakhs. As per lessor's point of view, it should be 45 lakhs. So you can, settle the premium somewhere between 39 and 45 lakhs. Say we can have the premium of 42 lakhs by negotiation for this property. This is how we can fix the premium for a property. Anyone with any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Ratnesh.
This was a full repair lease. So where has repairs and maintenance been accounted for? It has neither gone to lessor, neither gone to lessee.
Okay, yeah, it should have been from lessee's point of view. Okay, यहाँ पे lessee में से वो minus करना था.
Okay.
It was full repair lease. Yes, sorry. If it was full repair lease, तो वो lessee का outgoing होता था, वो lessee में से minus करना था. वो lessee's interest जब हम लोग ने calculate किया था, तो वो lessee में से minus करना था.
Thank you.
yeah. Lessee's point of view, the lease rent is 5 lakhs. So actually it would be 5 lakhs plus वो पे कर रहा था. तो इधर profit rent जो था वो 5 के जगह वो शायद profit rent 4 lakhs का वो जो full repair lease का minus करके आता था. But actually, okay, full repair lease ka we have not mentioned the amount. Maybe if the amount is 50,000, then 50,000 would have been deducted from this 5 lakh. The net profit rent would be 4.5 lakhs, and we would have capitalized that profit rent for 4.5 lakh for next 20 years. Right? Because if it is full repair lease, that would go to the lessee.
Then in that case, for lesser also, you have to consider.
Yeah, in lessers also, when we calculate it in reversionary value, the same thing would have been accounted over there.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now, renewal of lease before expiry of the lease. Renewal of lease before expiry of the lease. The lease has not expired. In between, the lessor and lessee, they want to agree to a new rental term. Then how we will calculate? So a shop has been leased out on 1st October 1995 on 30 years full repairing lease at a rent of 2 lakhs per annum. The lessee now on 1st October 2020 proposes to surrender the lease and have a fresh full repairing lease for 30 years. The lease rent has been decided as 3 lakh per annum. Estimate the amount of premium which can be reasonably agreed between the two parties if the net income from the shop at present is 5 lakh per annum. The rate of interest indicated by the study of local market in respect of freehold interest is 7%. The shop had been leased out on 1st October 1995 for 30 years. Right? It started in 1995 and it was for 30 years. Right? Now in 2020, they want to renew the lease. Actually, the lease would have continued up to 2025. But before 5 years, they want to terminate and agree to a new lease. Now, previously, the rent was only at 2 lakh per annum. Right? Now, the new rental is decided at 3 lakh per annum. And the market rent is 5 lakh per annum. So, how we will consider? So, again, we will consider as per lessee's point of view. Again, we will consider as per lessor's point of view. So, value of proposed interest, say for lessee's point of view, fair market rent is 5 lakh per annum. Lease rent is 3 lakh per annum. So, profit rent will be 2 lakh per annum. Now, here they have not mentioned that this is, you know, whether it is full repair lease or not, this 5 lakh. If it was full repair lease, then again, Ratnesh, इसमें से वो minus कर दे रहे lessee के लिए, right? So we will find out the profit rent. This profit rent we will capitalize for next 30 years, right? So value of the proposed interest is coming 19.79 lakhs, right? Now value of lessee's present rent, it is 5 lakhs minus 2 lakhs, that is 3 lakhs profit rent. Again 3 lakhs minus whatever is the, you know, outgoings, because it was on full repair lease, right? That net profit rent we will capitalize. Now what was the unexpired period of lease? Only 5 years. अगर पुरानी लीज कंटिन्यू होती थी तो लेसी उसका 5 और साल फायदा उठा सकता था. तो that interest is coming what? 11 lakhs. So now what is the premium to be paid by lessee? In दोनों का difference. So lessee will agree to pay a premium of 8.62 lakhs. Now if I see lessor's point of view, rent reserved is only 2 lakh per annum. Now he can take this rent for 5 years, right? So if I calculate that rent capitalized value for 5 years, I am getting 8.42 lakhs. Now after 5 years, he is getting back the property. So there will be reversionary value. So net income can be 5 lakh per annum. You can capitalize it in perpetuity, right? So value in reversion, it is coming 51 lakhs. So as per lessee's point of view, the present interest is coming 59 lakhs. But what is his proposed interest? He is getting rent of only 3 lakh per annum for 30 years. So I will capitalize that rent, and after 30 years, I will capitalize the reversionary value in the property. So his proposed interest is coming 48 lakhs. So his present interest is 59, proposed interest will be 42. So as per him, the rent to be charged, the premium to be charged would be 10.86. So for lesser, it would be 10.86. For lessee, it would be 8.62. So again, you can negotiate somewhere and get the rental value, premium settled. So you can maybe settle the premium at 9 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees. This is how you can settle the premium in between the lease. Right? Okay, we'll take one more example that would be a practical kind of example for leasehold properties. This is the last example I'll be taking today. Then we'll take the question answer session. It's a lease of a cinema. A land was leased for construction of cinema in 1993 for 30 years, and lease rent was fixed at 4 lakh rupees per annum. The lessee constructed the cinema and he started running the cinema himself. Net income from this cinema during 2019-2020 is rupees 25 lakhs per annum. Calculate the value of lessor's interest and the value of lessee's interest in the property as on 2020. The lease deed provides that the cinema with machinery would vest with the lessor free of cost on the maturity of the lease, that it is in year 2023. The rate of capitalization for net income is 12%. For recoupment of capital is 3%. For lease rent income is 8%. Life of building is given 60 years and rate of deferment is given 8%. Now you have to calculate the interest of lessee in the property and interest of lessor in the property. So we will discuss one by one. What is the interest of lessee in the property? So what benefit lessee can get from this property? So lease started in 1993. Lease is for 30 years. So the lease is up to 2023. We are doing valuation in 2020. So lessee can run the cinema for next 3 years. Am I right? Lessee और 3 साल cinema चला सकता है. So he can earn from the cinema for next 3 years. So we will capitalize his rental income for next 3 years. Right? Not rental income, the net income from the cinema for next 3 years. Now, what is the net income from the cinema? 25 lakhs per annum. So that is his NI. So this NI we will capitalize for next 3 years. Here for lessee, I'll be using YP dual rate. Why YP dual rate? Because income is only for 3 years. And since he had invested in the cinema, after 3 years is not going to get back the capital, so the dual rate formula will be applicable. So we are using YP dual rate. So if I see lessee's interest, it is to run the cinema and earn for remaining 3 years period. CV is NI into YP. YP we are using the dual rate formula of 1 upon R plus S, where this S is the annual sinking fund factor of R upon 1 plus R raised to the power n minus 1. Here small r is the rate of recoupment. It is given 3%. And capital R, I am taking it as 12% because we are going to capitalize what? Net income from the cinema. We are going to capitalize net income from the cinema, and rate of capitalization for net income is given 12%. So using that, I am getting this YP value. So CV is NI into YP. So I will be giving a valuation of 56,42,500 for interest of lessee in the property. Now in this same property, if you have to find out the value of lessor's interest in the property, so what would be value of lessor's interest? What benefit lessor can get from this property? So first of all, he can get a rental income of 4 lakh per annum for 3 years up to the expiry of the lease. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Up to 2023, he can get a rental income of 4 lakh per annum. And in 2023, lessor will get back the cinema or with all the machineries and everything. So you can say he can start running the cinema himself. So whatever is the income for lessor, we can capitalize that income Am I right? So for lesser, we'll calculate two interest in the cinema. Rental income of 4 lakh per annum up to 2023, and then the reversionary value of the property. So let us see lesser's income. Lesser's interest is right to lease rent income for 3 years and right to cinema income after 3 years due to the reversion clause. Now lease rent income, he is getting a lease rent income of 4 lakh per annum. Here I am using YP single rate because after 3 years he is going to get back his land. So recoupment is not required over there. So I am using YP single rate. Here N is 3. The small value of R I am taking 8 because we are going to capitalize what? Lease rent income. And rate of capitalization for lease rent income was given 8%. So using that, I am capitalizing the lease rent income. It is giving 10,30,000. This is his first interest in the property. Then what is his second interest? Right to cinema income. He is going to get the cinema in which year? 2023. Now life of the building was given 60 years. So in 2053, the building value will be over. Building khatam ho jayega. So he can earn this income for next 30 years. He can earn this income for next 30 years. Now CV value we will get it in 2023 because lesser is getting cinema in 2023. After that he can start getting the income. So this CV we will get it in 2023. NI for lesser I am taking 29 lakhs. Because for lessee it was 25 lakhs. Now if lesser is getting back the entire cinema, does lesser need to give 4 lakh rupees rent to anyone? उसको तो 4 लाख रुपया रेंट देना ही नहीं पड़ेगा. So his income will increase by 4 lakhs. So his net income will be 29 lakhs. And I am using YP dual rate formula because lesser's income will terminate after 30 years. His building will be over. He will not be getting back his capital. So we are using YP dual rate. So CV is NI into YP. This CV value we are getting 2 crore 5 lakhs, but this will be in 2023. But we are doing valuation in 2020. So what I will do? I will defer this 2 crore 5 lakh rupees to today's value using the present value factor formula of 1 upon 1 plus R raised to the power n. So I can say this is the second interest of lesser in the property. I can add both the interest of first and second, and I can give a valuation of 1 crore 73 lakh 60,000 for the interest of lesser in the property. So friends, this is how we'll be doing valuation of leasehold property. Yeah, Rakesh.
Sorry, I have a question regarding recoupment in case of lessee's interest. The remaining period was only 3 years. Irrespective of whether remaining period would have been 3 years or 30 years, the recoupment rate of interest would have remained same. So whether whatever capital was to be recovered, would it have been recovered at 3% recoupment rate in 3 years?
Pardon, come again?
Recoupment rate of interest, we apply dual rate so that whatever capital is being terminated is
whatever
to be
capital
recovered.
we have invested, we are recouping
So
back the
whether by
capital.
but whether applying the 3% recoupment rate for the period of 3 years, whether is he able to recover the capital invested, recoup the capital invested?
Obviously, he is not recouping the entire capital in 3 years or 30 years. So what we are assuming that the start date of the lease से end date तक जो है उसमें वो capital recoup करेगा. अभी मान लो if the period was for 40 years, 20 साल खत्म हो गया तो वो 20 साल में भी उसने रिकूप किया होगा. तो बाकी कई पीरियड के लिए मैं रिकूपमेंट कंसीडर करूंगा. जिस दिन से होगा वो उस दिन से ही वो पूरा थोड़ी कैपिटल रिकूप करेगा. जिस दिन से लीज स्टार्ट हुई होगी उस दिन से उसने रिकूपमेंट स्टार्ट किया होगा.
But when I have come across numerous examples and cases wherein entire amount is never recouped, even if it is from the start of the lease period till the end of the lease period. So there is something.
If you use the sinking fund factor, Ratnesh, if you use the sinking fund factor, if you see the timeline diagram of sinking fund, जो सिंकिंग फंड फैक्टर का जो फॉर्मूला अराइव हुआ है, अगर आप टाइमलाइन डायग्राम देखते हो, राइट, तो इन सिंकिंग फंड फैक्टर यू आर नोइंग, हम लोग ने जब ये फॉर्मूला हम लोग डिराइव करते हैं तो यू आर नोइंग द फ्यूचर अमाउंट ए, हम लोग को ये फ्यूचर अमाउंट ए पता है, और ये फ्यूचर अमाउंट ए के लिए हर साल हमको कितना अमाउंट साइड पे रखना है, दैट वाज द सिंकिंग फंड फैक्टर फॉर्मूला। तो ये फैक्टर फॉर्मूला आप डालोगे तो सवाल ही नहीं पैदा होता है कि वो अमाउंट तो रिकूप हो ही जाएगा। जब फॉर्मूला ही ऐसे डिराइव हुआ तो वो नहीं रिकूप होने का सवाल ही कैसा आएगा? What is the sinking fund factor formula? Right? That amount to be kept aside every year will be equal to the future amount A multiplied by the annual sinking fund factor of R upon 1 plus R raised to the power n minus 1. इसमें ये A तो रिकूप हो ही जाएगा क्योंकि हम लोग ये फ्यूचर अमाउंट A के लिए ही गिन रहे हैं. We are calculating for that amount. When you are calculating for that amount, it would be recouped. I don't know what kind of examples you have seen, but आप जब पर्टिकुलर वो अमाउंट ए के लिए ही कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो तो वो अमाउंट तो रिकूप होने ही वाला है, फॉर्मूला में ही हम लोग वो ए ले रहे हैं.
I have seen real-time examples wherein exact amount of construction. I have a property which was land which was leased, a construction made on that property, exact amount of construction and exact period of lease period. And when I apply this formula, the entire amount to be recouped is not.
Sir, you can send me the calculation and I will show.
I will.
Yeah, definitely, sir.
And when it comes to lesser periods, lesser periods, it is never recouped. When it comes to lesser periods, it is never recouped.
No. What you might be considering, only the unexpired period of lease, Ratnesh. You are considering only the unexpired period of lease. In unexpired period of lease, the entire capital will never be recouped. The entire recoupment of capital is only for the entire period of lease.
Entire period of lease, but construction is eventually done. If land is leased today, construction is done after say 2 years, 3 years.
Obviously, it will be the entire capital will be recouped. You can tell me, you go send me the calculations and I will show you that entire capital will come back. Because the formula हम लोग ने जो formula derive किया है, basically this sinking fund formula we have derived it from APA formula. कि APA formula क्या है कि मैं हर साल 1-1 रुपया डालता हूं तो फ्यूचर में कितना अमाउंट एक्यूमुलेट होगा, और सिंकिंग फंड फॉर्मूला हम लोग ने वो फॉर्मूला से डिराइव किया है कि फ्यूचर अमाउंट ए है तो हर साल मुझे कितना अमाउंट करना है, तो वो फ्यूचर अमाउंट एक्यूमुलेट होगा ही होगा क्योंकि फॉर्मूला में ही ए है, तो देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन कि वो रिकूप ही नहीं होगा.
We'll discuss it.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, Sujay.
Sir, my question was that, we have that the lessor's interest was calculated till 2053 because the life of the cinema building may be over. But lessor is also entitled to enjoy the land in perpetuity. Na? So how will that benefit?
You can add one more thing to it. Okay, in 2023, you could have calculated the reversionary value of land and bring it to 2023 and you can add to it. तो वो ज्यादा डिटेल में होता था. यस सुजय, क्योंकि 2023 में उसको वापस लैंड भी मिल जाएगा.
But that will have to be started from 2053 onwards because otherwise it will become double count.
Yeah, 2053 onwards. तो आपको 33 years के लिए डिफर करना पड़ेगा.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, 1 साल का annual income is sufficient or 2-3 years annual income we should take and we should take
normally not 1 year. Normally not 1 year. We normally take at least 3 years. 1 year in net annual income is not sufficient. सर वो गदर मूवी आ गया, बहुत हिट हो गया, तो ये साल सभी थिएटर वाले को बहुत कमाई. Not every year. So friends, anyone with any more questions? Any practical questions related to your, practical life in valuation field related to leasehold properties or IRR?
Thank you, sir. It was an interesting session.
Thank you very much, sir. Like, sir, we are doing quite a lot of assignments for NCLTs and all. So in that case is, many times we are, required to use this, income approach for that. Yes, Sanjay ji.
Sir, am I audible? Particularly
Yeah,
in
yes,
case
you're
of
audible.
nationalized,
You're audible.
particularly in case of nationalized bank, when the lease is getting expired or at an interim state, the matter is never settled according to the agreed terms of the lease. The matter invariably goes in the court, and the court has discretion to decide the mean profit or a reasonable fair rent, whatever you can say. In that case, irrespective of any formula which we have discussed, it's not going to work for the reason that court is at the discretion to give a verdict of what is the means profit payable. Can you throw some light on that? Thank you.
Come again. In case of bank, Sanjay ji, in case of bank, yeah, come again.
In case of bank, when the matter is in court, for the
Okay, when the matter is in court, means the person has got NPA.
No,
Court
no,
में
sir.
कब गया है?
It is the lease rent agreement between the landlord and the nationalized bank.
It is a lease rent agreement between the landlord and the nationalized bank. Okay, yes, fine.
Now, at the expiry or intermittent termination of the lease agreement, the rent.
Okay. Again, you are saying two words. At the expiry or intermittent terminal.
Yeah.
Expiry हो गई है, बीच में terminate कर रहे हैं.
नहीं, दोनों केस की बात कर रहा हूं. ये मैटर हमेशा लिटिगेशन में जाता है.
नहीं, लिटिगेशन में कब जाता है? एक चीज है कि एक बार लीज एक्सपायर हो गई है. Once the lease is expired, then the bank does not have any rights on the property. Am I right?
Yeah.
The bank does not have any rights in the property. Now, तब दो केसेस होता है संजय जी, कि एक तो क्या है कि बैंक खाली नहीं कर रहा है. कोर्ट में कब जाएगा? बैंक खाली कर देगा तो कोर्ट में जाएगा नहीं. कोर्ट में कब जाएगा? जब बैंक ने खाली ही नहीं किया है प्रॉपर्टी. एम आई राइट?
जी.
अब खाली नहीं किया ना, उसमें दो केस होते हैं. एक तो पहला है कि बैंक का प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, वो यूज कर रहा है, तो बैंक का ये ड्यूटी है कि बैंक उसको रेंट देगा. अभी लेसर को क्या करना है कि अगर लेसर को बैंक नहीं चाहिए प्रॉपर्टी में, तो लेसर को रेंट ही नहीं एक्सेप्ट करने का. वो रेंट नहीं एक्सेप्ट करके कोर्ट में जाएगा ना, तो कोर्ट बैंक को निकाल देगा. बट अगर लेसर ने रेंट एक्सेप्ट किया, लेसर हैज एक्सेप्टेड द रेंट, और वो कोर्ट में जा रहा है कि बैंक नहीं निकल रहा है, तो कोर्ट लेसर को ये बोलेगा कि आपने रेंट एक्सेप्ट किया है, तो उसका मतलब ये हुआ कि देयर इज अ डीम्ड एग्रीमेंट बिटवीन यू एंड द बैंक. आपने रेंट कब एक्सेप्ट किया? कि कब कोई डीम्ड एग्रीमेंट है, तो तब कोर्ट पिक्चर में आएगा. कोर्ट न्यू रेंटल टर्म एग्री करेगा. संजय जी, उसने रेंट एक्सेप्ट किया होगा, तभी कोर्ट वो बोलेगा कि हाँ ठीक है, बैंक और इतने साल रह सकता है, नहीं तो नहीं. तो लेसर को क्या करना था कि रेंट एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं करना था. अगर उसने रेंट एक्सेप्ट किया है तो यस, देन द कोर्ट विल डिसाइड. कोर्ट विल डिसाइड व्हाट विल बी द न्यू रेंटल टर्म एंड व्हाट वुड बी द न्यू रेंट.
But many of the judgments are there wherein simply by accepting the lease rent by the landlord will not conclude that the rent agreement has been renewed or otherwise. Because the reason is that if way back 10 years ago, the lease rent was decided, say, to the extent of 1 lakh. Now, the same property as per market scenario is fetching the rent to the extent of 3 lakhs. Okay, landlord, I do not decline to what I stated, that the owner have accepted the lease rent, but it does not mean that the bank has full authority to occupy and enjoy the property without any proper lease agreement between the parties, lessor and lessee, or landlord on the bank.
Sir, if the owner has accepted the rent, then the bank has the right to occupy the premise. वो बैंक का राइट रहेगा ही. The state rulings and the court will decide the rent of length of this new rental term. अगर उसको बैंक नहीं चाहिए था, उसको रेंट एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना, क्योंकि it constitutes a contract. अगर if you are accepting the rent, आपको
Why
रेंट
postpone?
एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं
You can
करना
say.
था, आपको रेंट एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं करना था अगर आपको बैंक नहीं चाहिए था।
साहब ये कहना
क्योंकि
मान लिया,
many
लेकिन if
rental
the rent
agreements,
is
there are many
accepted,
rental agreements wherein people don't make the rental agreement and there is, because there are two things over there. First of all, the bank is paying the rent and the bank is having the possession of the property also. So obviously the bank has now got the right, and bank has got the right. Now the court will decide कि ये नया rental term कितने लेंथ का होगा और क्या रेंट पेएबल होगा। अगर वो
the
ओनर
rent
को
is
ऐसा है कि बैंक
the-
नहीं होनी चाहिए तो उसको रेंट एक्सेप्ट करना ही नहीं था, क्योंकि
नहीं,
करेगा तो
साहब,
वो डीप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में आता है।
मान लिया, लेकिन ओनर को बैंक को पोजीशन कंटिन्यू करने में उसका रेंट का तो नुकसान हो ही रहा है ना आज के तारीख में। आज लाख रुपए महीने
नहीं
का
तो
कोई
मैंने
छोटी
क्या
बात
बताया,
नहीं है।
उसको नुकसान हो रहा है तो बैंक पुराना रेंट नहीं देगा। व्हाट आई सेड, कोर्ट विल डिसाइड द न्यू रेंटल टर्म, रेंटल रेंट टू बी पेड। कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगा कि अभी बैंक को कितना रेंट देना है।
बराबर है, लेकिन ओनर ने, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ द रसीट इज गिवन टू द बैंक towards the receipt of 1 lakh rupees, the receipt clearly indicates that the without prejudice to my rights and contention, then will it amount that the bank has
सर
full
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कोर्ट पहले ओनर को ये बोलेगा कि अगर आपको 1 लाख एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं था, आपने 6 महीने तक कंटिन्यू क्यों किया? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, व्हाई डिड यू नॉट कम टू द कोर्ट बिफोर? अगर आपको एक्सेप्टेबल ही नहीं था, आपने 6 महीना क्यों कंटिन्यू किया? आपने कंटिन्यू ये इसलिए किया कि आपने एक्सेप्टेबल है, तो वो लेसर इज ऑलवेज इन अ प्रॉब्लम इफ ही इज एक्सेप्टिंग दैट रेंट, क्योंकि कोर्ट तो उसको बोलेगा ना कि आपको नहीं एक्सेप्टेबल था, वो आपने लीज एग्रीमेंट रिन्यू नहीं किया, बैंक यूज कर रहा है, 6 महीना हो गया, आपने क्यों एक्सेप्ट किया रेंट? व्हाई आर यू एक्सेप्टिंग द रेंट देन, एंड व्हाई डिड यू नॉट कम टू द कोर्ट बिफोर? सो सर वो तो कोर्ट रूलिंग्स पे ही जाएगा, उसमें लेसर कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा सर। यस सुजय।
So this may be slightly off topic, but it is related to leasehold properties only. कि क्या होता है that you know in a land lease typically vacant land lease करने के बाद the lessee would normally construct something, and एक बार construct किया तो at least life of the building के लिए the lessee will expect you know lease का term। तो जैसे premises में leave and license होता है कि 1 साल 3 साल 5 साल, वैसे नहीं होता। These will always be long term, 30 40 50 60 years, and it is observed that over a period of time, because of inflation, the lease rent which is agreed upon becomes irrelevant. Matlab, I have a case where you know the land was leased in the 70s, and आज के तारीख में for a 1300 square meter plot of land, the lessor is getting a lease rent of some 16,000 rupees per annum। मतलब वो नहीं के बराबर है, 16,000 रुपए लेके वो करेगा साल का, महीने का भी नहीं। So it's hardly 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees a month। तो इसके ऊपर क्या what are the remedies for this? Because that is why people are not looking to lease the land, क्योंकि उनको पता है कि 10 साल बाद
nowadays they don't make a longer lease agreement।
correct
क्योंकि
correct
longer
but
lease
then
agreement करेंगे तो longer lease के 2-3 you know ये है कि 9 साल के ऊपर आप अगर लीज एग्रीमेंट करते हो तो स्टैम्प ड्यूटी कई जगह पे ऐसे है कि कई स्टेट में के आफ्टर 9 इयर्स वो स्टैम्प ड्यूटी भी डबल हो जाता है और वो सब है, तो वो लोग एक तो लॉन्गर लीज एग्रीमेंट नहीं करते हैं। और अगर आपने पहले से ही एग्री कर दिया है, लेसिन अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट कर दिया है,
पहले की
तो देयर
बात
इज
नहीं
नो
कर रहा हूँ, वो
ऑप्शन
तो
विद
हो
यू कि
गया।
आपको तो वो कंटिन्यू करना ही पड़ेगा।
हाँ, नहीं वो ठीक है, पहले की मैं बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ। सो टुडे द सेम लेसर, सेम ओनर हैज सम मोर लैंड व्हिच दे वांट टू लीज, बट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस दे आर सेइंग कि नहीं ऐसे ही होगा ना, 20 साल बाद ये अमाउंट व्हाट वी आर एग्रीइंग टू। Now from the lessee's perspective, they want a long lease because
they can do the lease agreement
to recoup
that
their
okay we
investment in a
can
bank.
do this lease agreement for 10 years and maybe the lease agreement can be extended up to 30 years, but after 10 years we can revise the rent based on the market value of the property। वैसे भी lease agreement कर सकते हैं।
Okay,
तो वो क्या है कि 10 साल के बाद में वो लोग म्यूचुअल एग्री करके वो लोग
तो
या
हर
बाद
10
में
साल
वो लोग कोई
review
फॉर्मूला
होते
पहले से
रहेगा।
डाल देंगे कि we will approve we will appoint a valuer and then we can fix the rent। तो वैसा आप अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है तो आप ऐसी कंडीशंस डाल सकते हैं लीज में, नो इश्यूज विद
बट
दैट।
ऐसे कंडीशंस डाले हुए हैं, मतलब प्रैक्टिकली लेसीज आर एक्सेप्टिंग दिस कंडीशन।
या व्हाई नॉट, व्हाई दे कैन आल्सो एक्सेप्ट इफ दे आर गेटिंग दैट बेनिफिट।
No, but sir, in your experience, have you come across any such examples? कि ऐसे
नॉर्मली
deals
नॉट,
हुए हैं?
नॉर्मली नॉट, नॉर्मली नहीं होता है।
लेसी को भी
तो
लगेगा
लेसी
कि भाई
को
पता नहीं 10 साल बाद सी व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट लेसी इन्वेस्ट अ लॉट इन कंस्ट्रक्टिंग द बिल्डिंग।
सो इसीलिए नॉर्मली मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि सुजय लेसर लोग ज्यादातर क्या करते हैं कि मेरी प्रॉपर्टी 1 करोड़ की है, तो मैं क्या करता हूँ कि मैं लेसी से ना 30-40 लाख रुपए का प्रीमियम ही ले लेता हूँ और बाद में एक लीज रेंट 30 साल के लिए एग्री करता हूँ, तो ऑलरेडी आई हैव टेकन द चंक ऑफ द मनी, राइट। तो फिर मुझे जो फ्यूचर में रेंटल वैल्यू मैं गिन रहा हूँ उसका मुझे काफी चंक मिल जाता है, तो मुझे वो ज्यादा दिक्कत नहीं देती है। तो इसलिए यू सी दैट सच लॉन्ग टर्म लीजेस दे आर कमिंग अप विद दिस एडेड प्रीमियम्स।
सो कैपिटलाइज वैल्यू आज ही ले लेना है और क्लोज टू इट,
आज ही ले लेते हैं उसमें से वो गिन के, तो वो बाद में उनको ये मैटर नहीं करता है कि तब उनको कम रेंट मिलेगा।
So it's basically more higher premium and lower rent it could be a solution.
Yeah,
because
there are
then
many
once I have the
such
money in
cases
that,
and
I
that
can
we come
invest
across.
it and I can invest it and get some appreciation on it so that the amount stays
Obviously.
relevant. Right.
Obviously. So that is the option you can take, right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So very, very informative session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sir, kindly share the PPTs.
Yes, sir. Obviously, I will be doing that.
So nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So anyone with any other question? If not, then we can run back to home. आज तो इंडिया पाकिस्तान का मैच है तो वो तो छोड़ना ही नहीं है.
शेती कशी वाढवली व्याजावर पैसे द्यायचे ना, मग ते जर दिले नाही तर मग त्यांची थोडी थोडी जमीन घ्यायची.
So we can end the session. Thank you very much, friends, for the patience and making the session interactive.
Thank you.
I'll be sharing the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
So
Thank
sir,
you,
we are coming to the end of this session. Thank you very much. Very lively and interactive section, and there cannot be a better session on the subject than this one. Thank you, Shah Sahab. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you, participants, for participating. Please share your feedback. We'll be sharing PPT of this CEP shortly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Details of the Vimal Shah, sir.
Thank you.
शेतकरी लगेच टाकले की